family has been in glass, one way or another, since 1870. My father started teaching me as a young boy at 13. At the age of 15, I went to start an apprenticeship in a firm of scientific glass blowers. That work was very hard from a child of 15. It was from going from school. You learn to knuckle down to do a very hard day's work, because in later life it stood me in very good stead. In 1969 I was made redundant, and I set up to make scientific equipment on my own. To get a bit of cash flowing in, I started a few ornaments, and almost initially, from that very moment, the demand for the ornaments outstripped my ability to make them. The glass blowing lathes evolved when they wanted bigger and bigger pieces of glasswork. It takes the hard work. Instead of blowing it by hand, I actually put it into the machine and shape it by hand, with the lathes doing all the hard donkey work. These lathes can be used for numerous purposes. We actually now use these lathes a lot for making oil lamps. I also use it quite a lot for making up coffee pots in the Middle East. Even some of our cups and saucers. I was doing a very large amount of business in the Middle East. In fact, we were actually selling directly to both the Saudi and the Bahrain royal families, direct. These are little glass teacups, which it may not mean much to us in the West, but in their part of the world it is a cultural thing, and the weddings are really quite extravagant. We would make teapots, coffee pots, glass cups and saucers, incense burners, the whole works. So you can see it really is the very top end of the market. Even some of our cups and saucers, our small cups and saucers, heavily decorated with gold. If they're the dearest sets, if they'd have gone through a normal retail channel, would have been £1,000 a dozen. Well, the daffodils as such, when we first made them, we were told we will never sell them, they're far too expensive. But in a few years we were selling those to every major store you can think of worldwide. Even people like Cartier's, the jewellers from New York, were buying from us. Bloomingdale's, Saks, Neiman Marcus in New York, London was Harrods, Selfridges, General Trading, etc. At the moment there's, apart from my Middle East side, which is really quite substantial, this is cups and saucers, teapots, coffee pots with combinations of glass and silver and gold plating on it. And the glass itself heavily decorated. That side is really going through the roof. The ornamental side is oil lamps, in particular glass dolphins. We just can't make enough. These are all different designs, some on bases, some freestanding, some actually fixed onto natural agate slices. I was aware of the popularity of dolphins some years ago, and the popularity of oil lamps. I thought the obvious thing is put the two together. Tubing is run down into short lengths, tapered at both ends, and then that's just done on a lathe to save time. These are then taken to the glass blowing bench, where they're heated, stretched, pulled, blown, to give the outline shape of the dolphin. Then the fins are added with rod, which is heated, joined, stretched and pulled to get the shapes of the dolphin. I like to add a different character on everyone. I mean, as an example, the female ones, we put a slight turn at the end of the nose. The part finished off, left to get cold. When cold, you can actually hold the body of the dolphin and finish off the other end, the tail. This is, again, rod added to it, stretched. So it's fun, you can make a bit of fun with them. And if you're making like a little collage of them on a single base, by adjusting them so you've got the mother and the baby swimming next to the mother, or if you've got a big bun with a father swimming behind, or sometimes in front. But the glass is decorated with sandblast, we blow under pressure different grades of grit depending on what finish we want. Now the pressure of an airline blowing through a specially designed gun scratches the entire surface of the glass with very, very fine little scratches and leaves the glass looking white. In some cases we will either have a glue-on stencil which we actually literally paste onto the glass, allow it to dry, sandblast through it and then wash it off, and you end up with clear patches. So you can have quite an elaborate pattern. Well, the furnace is for retempering of the glass. After we finish working on it, there is a degree of stress and strain. So what we actually do is we load the glass at the end of each day's work into a furnace, and we raise the temperature in the furnace to just below softening point. It takes a good hour and a half to get the big furnace up to temperature. This is not a science, it's more of an art of guessing what's going to be the effect. One very classic one was that we had this very large furnace in the factory in Wales. The chappie who normally did the furnace was off sick, and someone stood in for him, and he put the furnace on before he went home that night, and he didn't put it on cut-off. And the next morning when they all turned up in the factory was red hot, and there was a puddle of glass running out the bottom of the furnace. Because the demand for the scientific equipment is at the moment is going, no one's training. There's virtually no apprenticeship schemes. It's just quite a concern that within 10 to 15 years, the really skilled glassblowers, there'll be nothing left in the country. But in the long term, I hope my daughter will take over from me and help to innovate and keep the name alive. As she said, it will be glass by Louise then.